Morning, students. So, the topic for discussion today is a practical transformer. So far, we have seen about the in and out of a ideal transformer, what is the phasor diagram, what is the equation, and such things. So, now we are moving on to a practical transformer. So, you can see two headings here. One is the leakage reactance and a winding resistance. These two are an important phenomenon, that is important parts of a practical transformer, and this will come into effect when we draw the phasor diagram of a practical transformer. Okay, we can see that this is the core and this is the transformer core, and these are the windings, and it is taking a voltage V1 and a current I1 will pass through that. So here we can see that there is a flux phi m. So we consider the main flux phi m. So do you know how this flux phi is formed? From the previous video, I have mentioned this flux because this flux is actually formed from the current I1, which is the magnetizing current, and that results in the flux phi. And this is that flux phi. So the flux set up in the transformer is divided into two parts. One is the useful flux, which is denoted by phi, linking both the winding of the transformer, which remains practically constant at all conditions. That is, this phi m is the phi here, because this is a useful flux linking both the winding of the transformer, and it remains practically constant at all load conditions. And then we have the leakage flux phi L linking with one winding. So here this is the leakage flux, and here we have the leakage flux here also, because that is moving, that is leaking into the air gap. Okay, so phi L1 we call the primary leakage flux, and EL1 is the self-induced EMF of primary, and phi L2 is the secondary leakage flux, and EL2 will be mutually induced EMF. Okay, the flux which links with the primary winding is called the primary leakage flux, while that links with the secondary winding is called the secondary leakage flux. You know that. The simple things only you need to know. So because of this leakage current or leakage flux, there will be a reactance component. You remember IW and I two components of I naught, IW and IM. So IW will be the useful component, that is the wattful component, and you know that IM, or there is a magnetizing component, that it was the reactive component. It is the reactance component. So that is the reactance component here. That is leakage reactance, and then we have the winding resistance R1. So now we are moving on to the transformer phasor diagram on load condition. We already saw the transformer phasor condition on no load condition, where we get the no load current I naught. So in case of the load condition, so here we can see that the only difference is there will be a load and the voltage V2 will be there and the current I2 will be there. In case of a no load condition, I2 was 0. So forget about phi 1 and phi 2, which I have mentioned here, that we will see in the coming sessions. So we have the flux, main flux, that is phi main I have written. So you know about this flux, and this flux will be in phase with the magnetizing current. Okay. So this is the diagram. So from the previous figure, in the no load condition, you have this like this. Phi m is there, and magnetizing current is in phase. Then we have the like the voltage V1 is there, input voltage, and induced EMF E1, which takes approximately, and the voltage E2 and E1 is lagging the voltage by 90 degree, and this is also lagging by 90 degree because of the inductive load condition. So this is the case of ideal condition, no load. So now we have the output is closed, that is we have the loaded condition. Then we know that the current I2 will flow, and that current I2, we take an inductive load, so that current I2 will also be lagging. So that will be lagging by an angle theta 2, and that the flux created by I2 is phi 2, and that will be in phase with I2. Okay, so current will produce a flux, right? The current carrying conductor, it will produce a flux. the current I2, which is the lagging current due to the inductive load, will have some effects on the primary side. So we know that when the transformer is loaded in the secondary, a current I2 will flow, and that I2 will have some effects on the primary. Something is reflected of the I2 in the primary. The current I2 should opposite course. A current I2 is there, and what is the reason for this course? So the cause is obviously the induced EMF E2, which is due to the flux phi 2. Actually, due to the flux phi main, yeah, not phi 2, but due to this flux, when it reaches this area, so a current carrying conductor is kept in a magnetic field, so I2 current will be there, so an EMF E2 is formed, right? So that current I2 should oppose the flux, that is E2. So eventually the current I2 is due to the main flux only. So according to Lenz's law, I2 should oppose the main flux, that is phi main. So a secondary flux phi 2 is developed in a direction opposite to phi main, and that is shown. The phi main is moving from left to right. So flux phi 2 is moving from right to left, opposing. The story is not completed here. Listen carefully. At the same time, self-induced EMF E1 in the primary side will produce a flux phi 1, which is in opposite direction to phi 2. So we already know that there will be a self-induced EMF in the primary also. This is a mutually induced EMF in the secondary. A self-induced EMF will be there in the primary, and that results in a flux phi 1, which is in opposite direction to phi 2. So phi 1 and phi 2 will eventually cancel out each other, and the flux in the transformer remains constant. So at the same time, self-induced EMF EM in the primary side will produce a flux phi 1, which is opposite direction to phi 2. So in effect, phi 1 and phi 2 get cancelled, and the total flux phi main remains constant. Okay. So whenever current is flowing from the secondary side, the load is drawing current from the secondary side. So listen carefully. So when the secondary is loaded, a current will be drawing, that is the load is drawing current from the secondary side. That current will be compensated to make the flux constant. What actually is happening is due to the current I2 flowing in the secondary, a flux phi 2 is formed. So all this phenomena, so phi 2 will come, phi 1 will come, they will cancel out each other. So what eventually is happening is, in order to compensate the current I2, another current I2 dash will flow in the primary. That is, an extra current I2 dash will be drawn from the supply V1, that is in the primary side. It is done to compensate the current, that is to make the flux constant. We drew this current I2 dash from the primary, that is from the supply V1. So the primary current, so already we knew in the no load condition, I1 was equal to I0, which is I0 has two components, Im plus Iw. Now one extra term component came, that is I2 dash. So now we already incorporated I0, that is I mu and Iw, that is Im and Iw in the figure already. Now we will try to incorporate I2 dash also. So you know why I2 dash came now. So now we will draw the phasor diagram for that. So here we are drawing I2, which is the primary current. So we have a reflection of the same in the I2 is a secondary current, sorry. So we have a reflection of the same secondary current, the primary also. So I2 will be I2 dash here. Okay, it is reflected to the primary, and it will become I2 dash. Then we will apply the parallelogram law, and we will find out the result, because we need to resolve I1 into three components. So I1 should be resolved with three components, that is I0. So actually two components, I0 and I2 dash. So I0 is Im plus W. So eventually this will become, that's why I have given different colors here. So this red color or rose color, whatever it is, this was there. This is the primary current, secondary current, and that we are reflecting to the primary as I2 dash. So I1 will be eventually I2 dash plus I0. So we need to represent that as a phasor. So I2 dash plus I0, and this is the resultant. Okay. And we know this is the no load power factor phi naught, and this is the primary power factor phi 1, which is between V1 and I1, and this is between V1 and I naught. Nothing to think more to worry about. Everything else same. E2, E1, V1, everything same. That's it. So we brought I2 dash also. So I1 is now I2 dash. In what condition I2 dash comes? In case of when we apply the load, when we have I2. Okay. Now we will see the transformer equivalent circuit. So this diagram is familiar to you. V1, E1 is there, N2, E2 is there, then the flux is there. So phi 1, phi 2, all the story is finished. They're getting cancelled. So you just need to understand it and write in the exam. Okay. So this is the transformer equivalent circuit. Okay. So we already told, like, so all these components are now just already familiar for you. Only this way of representation is new for you. So R1, you know the primary winding, primary resistive winding. X1, you know the reactance. So that will come on Z1. I1 is the primary current, and I2 dash, our new friend. Now just now we realized it. It is the reflection of the primary current I2 on the primary. So I2 dash is there, and also this primary current I1 has another no load component. That no load component has another two components. That is the core loss component and the magnetizing component. This is the core loss resistance, and this is the magnetizing reactance. Okay. This X1 is for the leakage reactance. Okay. And similarly in the secondary we have R2, X2, I2, N2, E2, V2, and the load is taken as lagging. So everything, all these things are familiar for you. So I1 we write as I0 plus I2 dash, or IW plus IM plus I2 dash, and R1 is the primary side resistance. I have written it. And R2 is the secondary side resistance, and X1 is the primary leakage reactance, and X2 is the secondary leakage reactance. Okay. So now we will move on to the condition. Like this is a very important question, and even a previous year university question. That is phasor diagram of a practical transformer in case of an inductive load. Remember, inductive load, that is current will be lagging the voltage. Okay, so apart from the drawing in blue, everything else is familiar for you. So I am bringing you step by step. I0, IW, IM, I1, I2 dash, I2, everything, E1, E2, everything is familiar. So you know why we drew like this, why they are lagging, why they are leading, what is phi 1, what is phi naught, everything already explained. So we will bring the inductive load condition. Okay. So we have here this figure. So this phasor diagram, which is so phi IM, as I told you, phi IM, IW, I0, E1, E2, everything is familiar for me. And in case of a loaded condition, I2 will also be there. That's also familiar for you. Okay. Now we will consider the case of V2. So we have taken the output load to be an inductive load. So as usual, the current I2 should lag the voltage V2 by an angle phi 2. Okay. And also I2 and I2R2 should be in the same phase, because I2 and I2R2 is the voltage drop, right? That is V2. So and V2 and I2R2, they also should be in the same phase, because V2 is same as I2R2. And I2 should be in same phase. That's why I2 and I2R2, they are drawn parallel. And since this is an like the reactance component, that is the leakage, secondary leakage reactance, I2 X2, the voltage drop due to that should be perpendicular. That's why. And from the equivalent circuit diagram, we can write E2 is equal to I2R2 plus I2X2 plus V2. That's what we've done here. E2 is equal to V2 plus I2R2 plus I2. That is by KVL in the secondary side. And similarly, when we apply KVL in the primary side, we get V1 we get V1 is equal to E1 plus I1 R1 plus I1 X1, because E1 will be same only here because parallel only. So V1 is equal to E1 plus I1 R1 plus I1 X1. So that's what we are drawing here. So I1 R1 perpendicular to that I1 X1 and then the voltage V1. Just like that we will draw here. That's it. So this is the lagging power factor. So since it's a lagging load, current I2 is lagging V2 by phi2. That's what we draw here. And I2 R2 is perpendicular to I2 X2. Similarly, I1 R1 is perpendicular to I1 X1. Okay, this is for a lagging power factor. That is for inductive load. Very, very important. And also we have two more conditions which I have drawn here. Let me zoom it out. Okay, so this is the phasor diagram in case of, so this lagging power factor we already covered. And this is for unity power factor and this is for loading power factor. So for unity power factor and for loading power factor, I want you guys to draw and understand. You should draw, because in your exams last time they asked inductive, so next time they may be asking leading or unity. Unity is very easy because there will not be that phase difference. And in case of leading, I2, in case of capacitive reactance are leading, so I2 will be leading V2. So this will be phi2, this will be phi2, and just similarly you have to resolve. So this is an assignment, like this is an assignment for you. You should, this is like you, those who want, you should, for learning, you should do this. So this will be one question. So lagging, I have taught you how to draw step by step. I have drawn, and finally we arrived at this figure. So similarly, I want you to draw the phasor diagram for unity power factor and leading power factor. Leading power factor means it will be capacitive load, and unity power factor means they will say it is a resistive load. Okay. Okay. And now another important concept is the approximate equivalent circuit of a transformer. We know that I1 is equal to I0 plus I2 dash from the previous figure. Just go back and find it out. Okay. And I0, which is a no load current, is actually only 5 to 10% of the full load current. So we can neglect actually I0 and we can write I1 is approximately equal to I2 dash only. So I0 neglected means I0 neglected means this parallel branch itself we are neglected. So we bring that before. So this diagram will become like this, rest everything same. Since the no load current is very less value, the parallel branch is neglected because it's only 5 to 10%. So we are taking an approximate equivalent circuit. So this will become like I1 R1 X1 E1 I2 R2 X2 E2 V2 V1. So all these terms are familiar for you. Only thing, we removed the parallel path. That is the path that came due to the no load current. Since it's only 5 to 10%, we neglect that. Okay. Now this is the final figure, and we have another condition where we refer the equivalent circuit. That is, we make primary and secondary one, or secondary and primary one. So we refer, in first case, we have the equivalent circuit where the secondary is referred to the primary. So this is the case. This is the condition. These two will combine and it will come here. So V1, I1, R1E, X1E, and ZL dash. And where R1E is equal to R1 plus R2 into N1 by N2. In some notebooks, some textbook, we can find RO1 and XO1 also. So here I have used R1E, so anything you can use. Only thing you should be careful by taking while taking the turns ratio. So since we are bringing it to the primary will remain as primary itself, then plus R2. So R2 we have to do something to bring it. It cannot be just R2. So R2 will become R2 into N1 by N2 the whole square. Always remember, when we are bringing from secondary to primary, so secondary we are making everything to primary, then on the numerator part N1 will come. Primary number of turns will come. Just by heart like that. It is just easy to remember. So coming to primary means numerator will be primary. So just don't learn it like k to k square or k. That will may bring you confusion. Just learn like when bringing to the primary, it will be n1. N1 on the numerator. So R1 plus R2 into N1 by N2 the whole square. Same is the case with the reactants also. Refer to primary means x01 or xie will be x1 plus x2 into N1 by N2 the whole square. And the resultant. One thing I didn't mention in the figure is resultant. So this will be the resultant. Sorry. So this will be the resultant here. I'll just draw for you. This will be one resultant here. Okay. This will form one resultant here. Also, there will be another resultant, that is here also we will have the resultant. Just so I'm not that much used to this type of drawing, but still I'm. So here also it will be there. Okay. That will be I1 Z1 and this will be I1 Z2. This one. Okay. So we have it like the equivalent circuit will be Z1, Z01 or Z1 is equal to root of R1 e square plus X1 e square. So what will be in it refer to the secondary? Secondary will be R2e. So when it's we are going to secondary, so secondary will remain at is R2 plus R1 into N. So we are going to secondary means the on the top it will be N2 only. N2 by N1 the whole square. Similarly, X2 is equal to X2 plus X1 and N2 by N1 the whole square. Refer to the secondary. And Z2 is root of R2 e square plus X2 e square. That is understood from the phasor. This one. Okay. Okay. So we have learned the no load current, the no load phasor. When I2 is there, that phasor we wrote. Then I2 dash we brought. Then the lagging load, leading load, resisting load. So all these things, I think it might be clear for you now. Okay, thank you.